You're watching Business Trends Today exclusively on ASBN.
Innovation and adaptability have become essential for businesses navigating constant change, yet many organizations still operate in ways that can unintentionally slow decision-making, limit creativity, and make it harder for employees to do their best work. Dr. Jenna Werner, who is the executive in residence at Amazon Web Services and co-author of the Octopus Organization, a guide to thriving in a world of continuous transformation, argues that leaders must rethink how they build teams and organizations if they want to thrive in today's business environment. So Jenna, thank you so much for taking the time out of your business, or out of your day, I should say, to join us here at Business Trends Today at ASBN.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my favorite topic. I could talk about it all day.
Well, I don't have all day, but we will give you some time here, that's for sure. So that's great. So first and foremost, what inspired you to write the Octopus Organization, and why do you believe businesses need a different model for leading and adapting in business?
That's a great question. I've led large-scale change. So has my co-author he was the international CIO of McDonald's. So led change through 120 countries. I've done change in very highly regulated industries, financial services, but also in other places. And I've seen startups, and I've seen again and again. And so has my colleague Phil, who wrote a book with me, that we have these wonderful, innovative, curious, exciting people. We hire them for their intellect, for their ideas, for their drive. And then we put layers of process, of decisions, of leaders, of silos, of dependencies on top of them, and they just can't bring their best selves. They can't get work done. Work stalls, innovation stalls, decisions go round in circles, and teams just have to sit there asking for permission all the time. And so we said, we see this again and again in our day jobs now, where we advise Fortune 500 executive leaders. We've seen it when we ourselves led large-scale change as practitioners. And so we said, there is a better way. There must be a better way, and there is a better way. And it's a labor of love. We wrote it because we really care about freeing all these wonderful people and giving them a better chance to operate, and for businesses to create value in much cleverer and faster and easier ways.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. So you describe many companies as tin men organizations. What does that mean? And what are some of the signs that a business may be operating that way today?
Yeah, we use a bit metaphors because we don't want to use company names, because no company is ever a black and white thing. So we talk about this idea that many companies are still modeled around this factory model that we inherited from Frederick Taylor and his friends more than 100 years ago. It's a bit of a rusting construct. We use the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. The idea that you build organizations on standardization, on specialization, on control, on individual performance, on compliance. That worked when you had predictable outcomes, when you made nails. We no longer do this. So building a company on a foundation of permission, even permission to innovate or to speak up, doesn't work anymore. And so we tried to show this with the creaky idea of the Tin Man and the idea that you need to move to a completely different model.
Yeah, gotcha. So why do so many organizations struggle to adapt to change, even when leaders recognize that transformation is necessary to succeed?
It's difficult. We come into work, we have good intentions, we are used to a model that we've kind of grown up in and had our careers in, and we know it's a bit flawed, but it's also very hard for us individually to make a difference. It takes a lot of courage. It sometimes is not supported by the rest of the organization. But it just doesn't work anymore this way. So there needs to be courage and a way of collaborating and finding a way to start breaking these patterns up. But the good news is, and I'm an eternal optimist, I believe that now with the rise of AI, a technology that is taking the world by storm at speed, many of the axioms or the norms that we based our organizations on are getting questioned. Like the idea that change used to be, or delivering something used to be expensive and slow. So we built our organizations around it, a lot of permissions, thinking it through, asking decisions. Now the cost of delivery converges towards zero. And the speed of change has never been faster just speeding up. So since those two norms are now changing, we actually now have the catalyst for people to go, okay, it really, really doesn't work anymore how we operate. And there is now an opportunity for positive change. As long as you do it thoughtfully and caringly, not in a terrible top-down way that hurts.
Sure. What are some of the anti-patterns or common leadership behaviors that prevent companies from becoming more innovative and adaptable?
We've grouped it into 36. There will be more that people find in their own companies, but there's 3 buckets we talk about. We say leaders need to create clarity. So the context in which people can take action, make decisions, drive speed. Then they need to really distribute ownership, like we describe in Octopus organization, a distributed intelligence. Octopuses have 2/3 of their intelligence in their arms. So we talk about how can you distribute this ownership to all these smart people you've hired, who are close to the customer, who really can learn and iterate with the technology and reimagine the world. And the 3rd bucket of anti-patterns is around curiosity. We kill it. When we're kids, we ask up to 107 questions, and those who have kids will know why. When they're adults, when people are adults, you ask 2 to 3 questions, and you think leaders need to have the answers. And so in these buckets, there are a lot of things: silos, bureaucracy, lacking really clear leadership principles, often not having a clear purpose. Often most companies, people, less than 2% of people know the purpose of the company.
Yeah, wow.
So 98% of people come in every day wondering what they're doing.
Yep.
So there's a lot around clarity. There's a lack of ownership, decision-making, psychological safety, failure culture. And then there's a lot about curiosity. How we innovate is often quite stifled. So lots of anti-patterns.
Yeah. Do you think company owners and business and leaders just assume that the team already knows, the employees of that company, they already know the mission, they already know what we're all about? So why spend much time with them, hire them, let them know, teach them the job or train them on the job that they've got to do or the task or what have you, and not share with them what the long-term goal is, what the mission of the company is, what they're encouraged to be focused on each day? Is there just a lack of that communication from the top down?
There definitely is. And I don't say this from a place of knowing better. I've made all the mistakes, all of them, 20 times. And as a leader, you think it's clear to you because you've thought about it deeply, you've discussed it with your leadership team, you've turned it into a strategy, so it's becoming obvious to you. But I've learned, for example, from the CEO of the London Stock Exchange, Dame Julia Hoggett. She says, I spend 1/3 of my time communicating again. I don't outsource it to a comms team. I talk about it again, and I create and I discuss the clarity that's missing, and then I redefine the clarity.
Yeah.
And then we often get hung up on little crazy things like jargon. I've spoken to a company that says, we want to be a platform-enabled, data-forward, customer-centric, AI-leading company. Like, what? Nobody understands what this means. And then we want to leverage our corporate synergies. And you're like, how am I meant to do that on a Wednesday afternoon? How do you help me make decisions?
That's right.
So there's a lot of these crazy things we do.
Yes. A lot, and by the way, a lot of those TikTok videos that you see or Instagram videos that portray those individuals that talk corporate jargon, and it's comical, you know. But however, that being said, it's taking place in every conference room in America to some degree, right?
Yes, I did it. And you know, sometimes it feels safer. It's better or safer or more comfortable to say we are right-sizing or leveraging our synergies than the hard truth to say we have to let people go.
Right.
That is a hard message to share for a leader. So
that's right.
I have empathy, but we need to stop it still. We have to stop this.
I agree. It's almost like we've turned over the communications to the White House and said, well, how do we not use the word war? We'll use something else that's more friendly, right? And we do that in corporate America all the time, and small businesses as well. So for leaders who want to build more innovative and adaptable teams, what are a few practical steps that they can start taking today? And what can business leaders learn, from the octopus?
That's a really brilliant question. Building more innovative teams starts at the top. So give people the clarity of what's important. Why is it important? Take away the tyranny of having too many priorities in the company, because the context switching kills people and kills time. Every time you context switch, it's 30 minutes of your brain gone. Yeah. So give a few clear priorities, explain the context of why they're important, but try not, as a leader, and again, I did this, try not to step in how they do it. So give them a mission, and give them the space that they can innovate and be curious and try and learn quickly. That's technology you have to give, where they become independent, but also an organizational structure where people are not dependent on lots of sign-offs and lots of people and lots of permission. Once they have the mission, try and free them up so they can start and innovate, and then give them guidelines and coaching. So it's not I'm telling you what to do, but I coach you. For example, I've got this beautiful example that I learned from Astro Teller. He's the CEO of Alphabet Access Moonshot Labs. So they came up with self-driving cars and all sorts. And he said, Jana, if you wanted to get a monkey on a pedestal to talk, where do you start? And everybody's like, well, let's start building the pedestal because we know what we're doing. It's easy. So in other words, if you have a new project, you start try and show progress because it's satisfying. You can show your boss you're making progress. If you can never get the monkey to talk on the pedestal, there's no point building the pedestal. So as a leader, coach your team to test the difficult assumptions first. And then if they fail, tell them, well done for failing. You've now learned something and you actually saved us from running after zombie projects. We can now put you onto more important jobs. So things like that is what leaders need to do to support.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to leave it right there. That's perfect. So Dr. Jana Werner, who is executive in residence at Amazon Web Services and co-author of The Octopus Organization, a guide to thriving in a world of continuous transformation, which is the key right now. So we're going to make it very easy for you to get your copy. There's a link right below the video that you're watching right now. We highly recommend you get your hands on this book. If you're a leader of 2 people or 2,000 people, this has to be on your bookshelf. So thank you so much, Doctor. Very much appreciate it. Love to do a follow-up with you. There's a few questions here that time didn't allow me to get to. So thank you so much for joining us here at ASBN.
Thank you for having me, and all the best for all the change leaders out there.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Business Trends Today exclusively on ASBN.